Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, on really not a surprising, or maybe let's put it unsurprising statement coming from Zelensky, and it was expected. He has this kind of makeup to ask for such a strike. So let's see what this new leader of the world, he thinks, told NATO to do. This article comes from Sputnik. It's about 3 hours ago, and today is the 6th of October 2022. And I'm quoting, the title says, "World should take note of Zelensky's call for preemptive nuclear strike on Russia." All right, we got to this point yet? Remember my little model? The mountain slope model, they start with, oh, let's help him with this, let's help Ukraine with this, let's help, and then they got to all of a sudden to HIMARS, and then they got to something better than the HIMARS, longer range, and then they got to tanks, they're gonna get now to airplanes, and now this guy wants exactly the end. And top, I didn't expect Zelensky to say this, to be honest. I mean, it's not expected, but also it's a little bit, like, really? You got that low? I mean, I can see that you have that profile, you know what I mean? Not that profile, but that profile. But, well, whatever, man. Let's go. See what's going on. During an online conference at Australia's Lowly Institute, or Lowly, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky called on NATO to carry out, and I'm quoting, preemptive nuclear strikes on Russia in order to deter Moscow from using nukes. The Russian side has repeatedly stressed that they can be on no winner in nuclear war and it would never be unleashed. Well, I don't know about that. You kind of were closed. You included it when you said all weapons necessary, all its military might. That includes your little nuclear anyway. But let's see. So Russia says, oh, we might use this if you get over there and you attack us, and blah, blah, blah. We might use everything. Now this guy says, well, we should use nuclear weapons. You should use nuclear weapons to deter them from using. Now this guy, shouldn't they think, well, how about we use nuclear weapons to deter them from unleashing something to deter us? How do you go with the deterrent. Oh my God. So these guys said, oh, we're going to defend ourselves with everything. This guy, let's strike first and let we deter them. And this guy said, wait a second, these guys want to hit us. How about we shoot first to deter them? And then, no, look, they said they will deter. So who's going to shoot first? Who's going to deter who? Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has urged the entire world to take note of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's call for a preemptive nuclear strike on Russia. Do you think that if Zelensky calls this, if he had nuclear weapons, he would have been more responsible? Peskov told Sputnik that Zelensky's statement about preemptive nuclear strikes against Russia cannot be ignored. Yeah, they can. You're naive again, Russia, you're naive. Be ignored by the international community. Yes, some take note, but not the decision-making weasels, since they are nothing short of a call to start a world war which will entail catastrophic repercussions. The Kremlin spokesman stressed that the United States and the UK, which, I'm quoting now, de facto run Kiev, we knew that, thank you very much, should bear responsibility for Zelensky's statements. Yeah, but they have the nuclear weapons, not Zelensky. So yeah, he's just and I'm quoting, these are the countries, the US and the UK, that de facto direct Kiev, manage its activities and talk about their intentions to defend Ukraine to the bitter end. Therefore, they are responsible and should be held accountable for this person's actions and statements and this regime, Peskov said. Maria Zakharova, very smart woman, spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, for her part, has warned that the West is fomenting a nuclear war while an quote-unquote unstable Zelensky has turned into a monster. I don't think, when they say, you remember that expression that, oh my God, Emil became a millionaire. He changed. Since he became a millionaire, he changed. No, Emil did not change. Money did not change. Money just allowed Emil to show who he really is. It's not the money that changed. Money allows certain people to say, you know what, I don't give a about it. I'm going to show who I am. I'm going to do whatever I want. And that's the real Emil. Or Tom, or Michael, or George, or whomever. Believe me. So Zelensky did not turn into a monster. He was a monster like we are all, have that monster inside us, and when you get, the circumstance, you're gonna let it out. And this guy probably cannot hold it back much longer. And I'm quoting, if he is hailed by everybody as being greater than Napoleon, and he's such a strategic general that he is, and he's invited everywhere to speak, don't you think that it gets into his head? I think, anyway. Every single person, I'm quoting, every single person on this planet should realize that Zelensky, a puppet and an unstable character who has been pumped with weapons, has turned into a monster who could be used to destroy the planet, Zakharova wrote on her Telegram channel. Reacting to the Ukrainian president's remarks, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev called for a preemptive craniotomy on Zelensky. And I'm quoting craniotomy. Zelensky announced the need for preemptive nuclear strikes on Russia. Psychiatrists should perform a preemptive craniotomy on this idiot before he causes more trouble for his people and everyone else, he wrote on Telegram. I'm very he called it for his people. Is he referring to Israel? Or to Ukrainians? Anyway, speaking at Australia's Lawley Institute via video, you see, even that institute invited this extraordinary guy. Zelensky urged NATO to launch preemptive strikes on Russia instead of waiting for Russia's nuclear strikes. I'm telling you, bam, 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 bam. And I'm quoting Zelensky right now, according to Sputnik, right? What should NATO do? It should eliminate the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons. But that is important. But what is important? I once again appeal to the international community, as it was before February 24th. Preemptive strikes are important so that they know what will happen to them if nuclear weapons are used. It should not be vice versa, as in to wait for Russia's nuclear strike. Zelensky said. Well, addressing the nation on September 21st, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the West had crossed every line in its anti-Russian policy. So if it crossed, what did you say you're going to do? Say it again, Putin. Huh? Что сказали? Нет, nothing, no, nothing, ничего, right? That's nothing. My Ukrainian came out. All right. He pointed out that if it wasn't just about the shelling of the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, encouraged by Western countries, but also about the statements of a number of representatives of the leading NATO nations about the possibility of using nuclear weapons against Russia. And now I'm quoting Putin. Some irresponsible politicians in the West talk about plans to organize a supply of long-range offensive weapons to Ukraine, systems that are capable of launching strikes against Crimea and other regions of Russia, the Russian president said. Putin then warned that if Russia's territorial integrity is threatened, Moscow will use all means at its disposal, including nuclear weapons. And I'm quoting, "This is not a bluff," the president stressed. The Russian president has repeatedly said that there could be no winners in a nuclear war and it should never be unleashed, noting that the Russian Federation consistently followed the letter and spirit of the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons Treaty. Right? So, there's scenarios here, but the scenarios could not be put in practice because it's going to be a mutual destruction, that's for sure. So yeah, the deterrent of the deterrent. And who's going to blink first, or who's going to be idiot first? We'll find out. We'll find out because we're heading that way. And, well, Yeah, the world should take note of Zelensky. Think about Zelensky having nuclear weapons. Now, I can remember I read a scientific article, I don't know, a while ago, long time ago. I think it was 8 seconds. 8 seconds. In that article said, or study, said if the ants, you know, those little ants, if the ants are so warlike big creatures that if they would have atomic bombs, nuclear bombs, they will use atomic bombs in the first 8 minutes of their scuffle. You know, they fight all the time and they're aggressive in the first 8 minutes. So I don't know about this guy. If Zelensky would have atomic bombs, would he beat the ants? Maybe. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.